It was dark outside. The hopeless clouds covered the sky, speaking words of sorrow. I was late and I knew I would receive a scolding. As I walked in the front door, I yelled, "I'm home!" and awaited my daily tackle from my little brother. A moment passed by. My shoes fell off from my feet and I began to wonder where Michael was. Probably looking at the latest Diary of a Wimpy Kid book to add to his Christmas list. He was an interesting fellow. I walked into the kitchen with taste buds that had waited far too long to be satisfied. A snapshot of my happy family arranging the table appeared in my head. As I turned the corner, my mental preparation died. There was no one. The table was set, the food was steaming, but my family was gone. I began to wonder what was going on. I felt a cold breeze creep in the room and cloak me. I slowly walked toward the chilling wind and discovered that something odd was going on. The patio door was wide open. My eyes revealed large muddy tracks. They led towards the stairs and I knew there weren't any shoes we had in the house. The whistling wind was getting louder and I stood there for a moment, dumbfounded by the uncertainty and worry that overcame me. Like a bird, my head twitched towards a deafening sound. Was that a gunshot, I asked myself? It came from upstairs. Uncertainty and worry faded and a new sensation invaded my entire body. Fear. I slowly lifted my hands and stared at my fingers in disbelief. I was shaking. Stop, I told myself. Your family's in danger and you have to try to help them. Against my weak will, my legs began to climb the stairway to hell. Slowly, I crept the stairs. Quietly, my weightless feet reached the final steps and I began to prepare myself. My teeth gritted, my fists clenched, my body tingling. I slowly opened my parents' bedroom and I prayed my instinct would overcome the situation. My eyes assessed the room. 3 people lay before me, tied up on the ground, back to back, wriggling in fear. It was my family. To my right, I noticed an unfamiliar man, scrunched over, clad in all black, frantically emptying my mother's jewelry bag. We were being robbed. He didn't notice me, and for a moment I stood there, unsure of what to do. A small ray of sunlight crept through the closed blinds and revealed a shiny object on the bed. It was a gun. In the man's fiendish desperation to empty my mother's jewels, his peripheral vision identified me. He was not expecting me. I pounced. Luckily, I was able to locate the gun shortly before he noticed me, and I had it in my grasp in no time. His crouched position was his disadvantage. His frantic attempt to reach for the gun before me resulted in him falling backwards. Without hesitation, I pointed the weapon at the man's head. He froze. The pistol was heavier than I expected, but its shiny surface and grip-laid handle felt natural in my hand. The man was now on his knees, and one thing was for certain. I had won, or so I had thought. I circled the man with the eyes of a hawk, focused on his every breath. When I reached his backside, I noticed something behind the bed. My curiosity took over and I glanced. It was Marcus, and he had a bullet in his shoulder. He sat against the wall, dark red blood oozing from his wound. His grimace was weakening and I could tell he was losing consciousness. "Marcus!" I yelled, anger and fear both apparent in my voice. His eyes met mine and a small grin appeared. "Thank God you're here. I thought we were gonna die." "What should I do?" I questioned, clearly needed someone to take control. "Kill him," he whispered. "What? I can't. I've never even..." "He shot me and he was gonna kill him after he was done cleaning us out," he shouted now. His eyes revealed the thirst for vengeance and it was contagious. Marcus was right. This man deserved to die. If it weren't for me walking in, my family would have been murdered. My teeth clenched and my grip tightened as an overwhelming sense of rage came over me. I had to kill this man. I had to pay him back for what he did and stop him from doing this again. My grip readjusted and I stared at the back of the man's head with murder intent. "Shoot him!" The man slowly lifted his hands and turned his head towards me, sure not to make any sudden movements. I couldn't see his face, but his eyes revealed plenty. This man was on death's doorstep and he knew it. His whole body was trembling in fear. His knees seemed as if they were going to give out at any moment. I glanced ahead of him and noticed my little brother, Michael. His mouth was taped over, but his eyes were visible. They were the same as the man's. What kind of man would it make me to murder a man in cold blood in front of my little brother? I asked myself. On the other hand, what kind of man would it make me to let a murderer and a thief run free? "Shoot him now!" Marcus yelled even louder now. My eyes strayed from the man's head to my little brother's, and back again. For what seemed like an eternity, I analyzed their eyes, trying to find my inner justification for murdering this man. The only thing I found was nothing. My little brother and this man shared the same overwhelming fear that left no room for tears nor words. I took a deep breath and looked the thief in the eyes. "Get out of here, and never come back." His eyes closed and his shoulders sunk, looking as if he were Atlas being relieved of the weight of the world. He shrunk down, breathing heavily, and looked at me once more. "Thank you." I cocked the pistol. "Get out of here before I change my mind." The man understood and took his mask off and gave me a warm smile. I looked around me. Everyone was smiling. Michael, my mother and father, even Marcus with his bullet wound. I was dumbfounded. Why are you smiling? This man almost killed you. But you didn't, the man interrupted, which is why you passed. Before I could utter another word, a blinding, sacred, and beautiful light poured in the room from every direction. It covered my body, lightening every cell. The sensation was indescribable. Awe, happiness, understanding, forgiveness, all in the same emotion. I opened my eyes and I was back in bed, awake from the dream that had taught me something about forgiveness that no person or quote ever could. From that moment forward, I told myself that dreams had a meaning, that through dreams, lessons about life and your true self can be learned, an almost test drive or simulation to prepare you for the real world. I stepped out of bed that morning, ready to forgive all those who have done wrongs to me, and for that, I am thankful.